Greetings, Arts Beat Mix. It's the KC Arts Beat Report. I'm Patrick Neas. Today it's going to be a great show because we have a special guest who's going to tell us about a new classical arts organization here in Kansas City. Yeah, that's right. There's a new star in the classical firmament, and we're going to hear all about it here in a second. But first, I want to ask you to please share this video with someone who's interested in the arts and music in Kansas City. Like it, subscribe to us on YouTube, and subscribe to our Substack as well, and follow us on Facebook. I'd really, really appreciate it. It would help us out a lot. But right now it's time to say hello to Lawrence Abernathy. Hello, Lawrence.
Hey, how are you?
Very well. Now, you have some very impressive credentials, and I hope you don't mind if I share at least some of it. I don't even have time to share all of it, but it's just amazing. He's the president-elect of the Kansas City chapter of the American Choral Directors Association. He's a tenor singer. He's sung with groups like Spire Chamber Ensemble, the Bloomington Bach Cantata Project, Missouri Choral Arts Te Deum, the Cecilia Ensemble. And, you know, he also has won the American Prize, the Del Warland Award. You have quite a resume for a person as young as you are, Lawrence. That's very impressive.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. And you're putting it to good use here in Kansas City with a new group you have started. I kind of gave a hint to the name earlier. Why don't you tell us about this group you have started and that you're the artistic director of?
Yeah, so I'm the artistic director of Kansas City's newest professional ensemble, professional vocal ensemble, Astra Ensemble. And we are a conductorless eight-person ensemble that kind of wants to make a name for ourselves with warm, intimate, and very direct forms of music making in conventional spaces and also unconventional spaces. It's a group of my colleagues, many of whom are based in the Kansas City area, including Vicki Olson, Alyssa Nance, Katie Crawford, Julia Skotsafava, J.W. Keckley, Gabe Lewis O'Connor, and Sam Anderson. You've probably heard many of us singing with many of the top tier ensembles in this town, or conducting even. For instance, Dr. Gabe Lewis O'Connor is the Associate Director of Choirs at the University of Kansas, and Sam Anderson is at St. Paul's. But yeah, we're all professional musicians that wanted to get together and sing more with each other. And many times we'll come together for one project and then we'll disperse and not see each other for a couple months, and then we'll come together and sing another project with another organization. And we thought, well, how cool would it be if we started our own thing and could do more music, more, just about more art in the area.
And I like the fact that you want to champion underrepresented composers and voices. So it sounds like you are planning to do a wide variety of repertoire. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. We're not an ensemble that wants to specialize in any one particular thing. The group is conductorless, and that makes us unique within our region. And we devised it that way because we wanted the artist to drive. Includes everything from the selection of the pieces to the musical rehearsal process, to the kind of the administrative tasks of running a new arts organization. Even though I've taken on a lot of that work so far, and more or less act as our de facto artistic director. But in making it artist driven, we didn't want to box ourselves into any one or two time periods. So in any of our concerts, you're going to come and hear a whole variety of music, things that are very, very old, music that was recently composed, and much of it kind of in the middle.
And you have a concert coming up on January 10th at St. Paul's Episcopal Church that exemplifies what you just said. By the way, what time is that concert on January 10th?
That's at 7:30.
7:30. And how can people get
7:30 p.m.
how do people get tickets?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
How do people get tickets?
So yeah, we are super thrilled to be able to offer this concert free. So we're not ticketing. We are asking for a $20 donation at the door, which will help cover the cost for future Astra Ensemble projects. But no tickets are necessary. Show up at St. Paul's and enjoy the concert.
we'll get into some of the pieces you're doing here in just a second. But I'd like to talk to you about the name of your group, Astra. That's kind of rings a bell with anybody who knows much about Kansas, with our motto "Ad Astra, Ad
Yeah.
Asperum." Was that a part of what inspired that name, or tell us about it?
That was absolutely where we were going with what we were going with, Astra to the stars, right? And choral music very often evokes a sense of the otherworldly or the heavens, or it's kind of it's an art form that points upward and it lifts the spirit up, right? And we wanted to honor where we're from, being we want to be a local ensemble that is representing Kansas City on a national scale and on a regional scale. Being rooted in the Midwest is really important to us, and we've kind of defined that for ourselves of understanding that there's a respect for craft. There's a respect for humility of who we are as artists and how we approach ourselves and our art making and our audience. And there's a history of collaboration. There's a value of collaboration. And so that's all kind of reflected back in naming Astra after the place where we're from. We're not trying to imitate European models. We want to own the Midwest in terms of, it's that how grounded we are within that. And, it's less about polish for its own sake, and it's much more about the honesty of sound. And we believe that that's the most important thing, that when you come to an Astra Ensemble concert, you're going to hear these deeply rooted values communicated in how we're singing, not just what we're singing, but also how we're singing it.
But you are also inspired by groups that have been to Kansas City quite often, and their concerts are always super well attended. I'm talking about groups like Voces 8, Gesualdo 6, and Vox Luminous. You're going to be putting your own Midwestern spin, though, on what these groups do. Is that right?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. We when we were formulating this ensemble, we looked around at kind of the landscape of the choral scene here in Kansas City and in the Midwest. And I, as a conductor, had no desire to be waving my arms in front of people. I do that multiple hours a day, every day. And my colleagues who are conductors, they didn't necessarily want that either. And luckily, we noticed that there was a niche that hasn't been filled with a conductorless ensemble. So of course, this is a very popular model overseas right now, and professional choir in the United States is probably about 10 to 15 years behind what's happening overseas. Just now, in the last 15 to 25 years or so, you've seen the explosion of professional choral ensembles here in the States as a not just something that is on the periphery of art making, but that one can actually make a full-time living being a chorister, a professional choir member, right? But we haven't cultivated those small, intimate ensembles quite yet. And we're hoping to be the one from the Midwest that's able to really kind of say, hey, we think that we have something interesting to bring. So yeah, we're very much inspired by those people and by those wonderful artists. In fact, during my graduate school work at Indiana University, I was there during the pandemic, and what that meant was that able to do a lot of the very large scale works that you go to a school like Indiana to be able to participate in. But what we did get to do was a lot of small ensemble singing, and we actually zoomed in for a full week. The members of Voces 8 that coached us, and I put together an ensemble and things like that. So that's where my love of this really came from, was interacting with those types of ensembles and learning how they do what they do and what makes them unique and special, and what some of the really interesting musical moments that you get to experience, both as a singer as well as an audience member. So, it's being able to bring that type of experience to our region on a full-time basis, not just an ensemble that flies in, does the thing, and goes away, but you know who we are, we're here, and you can always count on us having something that's interesting and refreshing for the audience.
Yeah, I can hear the passion in your voice when you talk about all of this, and I'm sure that will be reflected in your performances as well, like the one on January 10th. And I'm so happy you're kind of keeping the Christmas season going. It's in the Middle Ages, I think the Christmas season ended on Candlemas Day, which was February 2nd. So it's still appropriate to have some holiday music. And this music, it's not your typical jingle bells. So this is stuff that a lot of people probably have never heard before. There's an Icelandic composer, it looks like, on the program.
It
You might tell
is.
us about some of these pieces. And it looks like, again, like you were saying earlier, a wide variety of eras.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to lead off with two quotes, or one quote and one poem. And the first quote is from G.K. Chesterton, who was a contemporary of T.S. Eliot, and he was kind of a humorist, and he wrote a lot for the London papers, and was kind of that ilk. And one of his quotes is this: "The best way to shorten winter is to prolong Christmas." I think that is such a wonderful aphorism, and it really gets to kind of the heart of what we're doing. And then the next one is from the American theologian and preacher Howard Thurman in his poem, The Work of Christmas. And it goes like this: "When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among others, and to make music in the heart." So, for many of my colleagues, we've been engaged in this music making thing throughout the holiday season for a couple weeks now. About a month and a half is how long the holiday season is for us gigging musicians and such, right? And we always find that our first couple of rehearsals back to the ensembles that we sing with, maybe once a week, or our church ensembles or whatever, people are still humming those Christmas tunes and those holiday and those winter tunes, and there's still such a pull. And I know for myself, as my family is putting up the Christmas tree, which we did just yesterday, there's that little bit of nostalgia, that little twinge of, oh man, it looks empty all of a sudden. And what I find so interesting about that is that, especially here in the Midwest, and I'm a Midwest transplant, so I'm learning how to do this, but I know for me, it looks so barren, and we're just now getting to like what we would consider the cold months of the year. We're probably in for a pretty chilly next couple of weeks, and so why not continue this reverie and this music making and the holiday spirit as long as we possibly can. So that was the idea behind Frost and Flames Carols for a New Year, was to give people that one little extra taste of it and remind them, hey, this feeling that we get in December, it doesn't have to stop. We can continue this just a little bit longer. So in terms of the actual program itself, we're going to be, you're right, we have a huge selection of music from a really a really wide range of time periods, dating all the way back to the French master Periton, who was active in the 1200s, to Philip Stopford, who's a contemporary British composer, as well as Elaine Hagenberg, who's a contemporary American composer. You're also going to hear a Icelandic piece, the Herhimna Smithur, which we're really, really excited about putting together. Some Spanish music from the Baroque period and the Verbum caro factum es, and some traditional pieces like Es ist ein Ros entsprungen by Pretorius. But all of these are kind of situated within the coming of spring. Many of them are looking forward to the coming of spring. For instance, in the Es ist ein Ros entsprungen, it's all about the blooming of the rose. Of course, that's an allusion to Jesus. But if we take it to all the way to the 10th of December, we might say, springtime is coming, and it is about that rebirth.
Yeah, you have a wonderful selection here. I was going to just say, it seems like a lot of great choral music is coming out of Scandinavia and the Baltic countries. It seems like they're both hotbeds for this. Is that
Very much so.
you're doing a Norwegian composer who's really kind of become hot? Yelo, I hope I pronounced that correct.
Yeah, yeah. Ola Yelo, his Northern Lights.
Uh-huh.
Yelo's music is so beautiful. It's luminous. It's like watching the Aurora Borealis. That's the best way to describe it. The way he paints with the harmony is really quite gorgeous, where there are unexpected turns, but not in a harsh way. They're unexpected turn that bring a little warmth to you. It's really interesting how he's able to do that, and he writes so well for singers. That's something that as a small ensemble we're always looking for is how can we find or what is the music that makes us sound the best, right? And makes the eight individual members sound the best. And Yelo writes in such a lyrical way that it's really, really easy on the voice, and I think it's very easy on the ear. Normally this Northern Lights is a crowd favorite.
And I would like to know more about that piece by Bjornson. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, yeah, that's really, really close, and I'm not going to attempt it either because of how complicated it is. Yeah, this is actually not a winter piece, but the feel of it is very cold and it's very precious. It's just a very simple hymn that he's written, a petition to God, if you will. That it's almost brittle in how delicately you have to approach it. And I think that the audience will immediately pick up on how this kind of fits into the greater scheme of the concert. But those are kind of the two very precious pieces that we're doing. We also wanted to make sure in this concert that we were giving the fireworks of Christmas too, and that comes in the way of our some of our American composers. For instance, we're going to do some William Billings, who's an American composer from the colonial period, kind of noted as the first American composer. And that's kind of fun because we're coming up on a big anniversary year for America, and there'll be lots of American music being sung. So we wanted to kick it off with William Billings, as well as a Star in the East, which is a traditional tune from the Sacred Harp tradition. So down south where I'm from Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh.
I grew up singing in some Sacred Harp and have a deep fondness for that. And these are two pieces where the ensemble really gets to lean into to some of the more bold music making for the evening.
And jumping all the way back to Peritin, did you say he wrote in the 1200s?
Yeah, the 11 and 1200s, Lannon and Peritan, they were kind of known as the Notre Dame School of Polyphony. Some of the earliest bits of written polyphony that we have in the Western canon. And we're going to be performing a really lovely Beata Vishara about the Blessed Virgin, and this will be sung in kind of a duet canon style, which we don't think is necessarily period appropriate. But we're not an ensemble that we don't want to be too confined by performance practice, right? We want a nod to performance practice, but we think we figured out a way to present this in a really, really interesting and transportive way. I think the audience will really love that. That'll feature our sopranos, Vicky Olson and Alyssa Nance in particular.
Peritin's music, what I've heard of it, sounds so timeless. In a way, it sounds like it could have been written yesterday. It has an odd.
It does. And someone like a Stravinsky was very inspired by a Peritan and Lannon, and he was one of the first folks to really look backwards. And so if you get that type of feel, where it's almost like looking at a stained glass window. Things are segmented, but it's lyrical and it's very colorful and it's kind of contrasting colors. It's all very bold music making.
It sounds terrific. Frost and Flame, January 10th at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. And Lawrence, tell people where St. Lawrence or St. Paul's is, and what time that is.
Yeah, that's right downtown in downtown Kansas City on 40th and it's 11 East 40th Street, Kansas City. There is a new there is a new rail car stop right by the church, so you can jump on the trolley, come on down. We'd love to see you there. We'll be there at 7:30. Again, it's a free concert, free to the public. So we would love to pack St. Paul's as much as we possibly can. This is kind of our gift to the community.
And I know this is a few months ahead, and I'm sure you don't have a lot to say about it yet, but you do have another concert planned in June. Is that right?
Yeah, we're undetermined about that right now, and it will kind of depend on what the next couple months look like for us as an organization. One of the things that we're trying to do is to root ourselves in recording. We want to be an ensemble that records first and then concertizes second, if you will. So right now we do have an idea to have another concert in June. We did a solstice concert last year, and that was kind of our debut and our to see if this is something that we wanted to continue. And we had such a good time that of course we were like, yeah, we need to continue doing this. But this year, we're actually going to be fundraising for our first EP recording, and if funds remain, then we will definitely look toward the summer for our next project. And if not, we'll look toward the fall and unroll a full season coming up. So, as we are rooted so deeply in the Kansas City area, we kind of feel like if there is a demand, if there is a want for us to sing more and to put more concerts together, we will certainly do so. But we also want to be led by the audience in that way.
How can people reach out to you if they would like to support you? And I hope they do.
Yeah, thanks. You can find us online. We're at astraensemble.com, ASTRA, astraensemble.com. You can find us on social media, facebook.com/Astra Ensemble and Instagram.com/Astra Ensemble. When you're there, you'll be able to find out more about who we are, what we do, how we do it, how you can support us. And of course, on our Instagram and social media feeds, we post lots of behind the scenes stuff and interviews with our singers and really try and keep things interactive.
Sounds great. Lawrence, it's been a real pleasure meeting you and talking about your new choral ensemble, the Astra Ensemble, and hearing about your concert on January 10th. And I sincerely wish you all the best, and you and your group, and I hope lots of people support you. Give us your web address one more time.
Thank you so much, Patrick. We really appreciate it. And I do need to throw up a quick thank you to St. Paul's Episcopal for hosting us, as well as Community Christian Church in the Plaza that has allowed us to rehearse there. So thank you to those two organizations. We also have a couple of donors who I should say thank you. You know who you are. You all mean the world to us, and we can't wait to see you in a couple of days. Again, you can find us at astraensemble.com or on Facebook and Instagram at Astra Ensemble, ASTRA.
Lawrence, thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you again in the future about more great concerts from the Astra Ensemble.
Great, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you at the concert.